On this adventure by car, we take an odyssey through central and northern British Columbia, home to moose, grizzly and black bear, a natural hot springs, ancient totems, legendary fishing, glaciers, the northern lights, First Nations culture, and fur trade history. On this episode of Detour, we explore some hidden gems off the main road. Today's detour begins in Williams Lake. Jason Ryle, Executive Director for the Williams Lake and District Chamber of Commerce.
When you come to Williams Lake, it's going to be almost impossible for you to ignore the fact that the lake is the heart of our community. If you wanted to visit Williams Lake and experience it in the various seasons, there's everything to do from downhill skiing at one of our nearby ski hills, which is Mount Timothy, which is about half an hour's drive away from the city of Williams Lake. And then there's another ski hill called Troll Resort, which is about an hour and a half away from Williams Lake. So downhill skiing, cross-country skiing, snowshoeing is also a really popular activity, and it's just growing leaps and bounds. Williams Lake and area, especially once you get a little bit away from the city, it's a bit of a mecca for people who enjoy trail activities. In the wintertime, that includes snowmobiles and getting out into the Caribou Mountains. It's a real hotbed for activities. There's also backcountry skiing that people can do. And then on top of that, if you don't mind traveling a little bit further away from Williams Lake, at the east end of Quesnel Lake, there is a heli skiing operation. And then west of Williams Lake towards Bella Coola, closer to Bella Coola, which is a 6-hour drive from Williams Lake, there's heli skiing operations there, which are world-class facilities.
And what about the spring? What kind of activities are available then?
Springtime, Williams Lake is referred to as a mecca for mountain bikers and people who enjoy trail activities. Summertime is full of activities and festivals and events. Williams Lake plays home to the largest rugby festival in British Columbia during the Stampede or the Canada Day long weekend. It also coincides with our world-famous Williams Lake Stampede, which attracts people from, by the thousands to come from all over North America to come and enjoy the Western culture and the rodeo culture that goes along with that. In the fall, it's a popular time to head west to Bella Coola, especially for people who enjoy fishing, salmon fishing especially at that. Williams Lake is the inland gateway to the Great Bear Rainforest as well. If you wanted to travel to the Great Bear, then you've got to come through Williams Lake. There's lots to see and do pretty much any time of the year, and Williams Lake is happy to host.
From Williams Lake, we're back on the road, traveling along Highway 20, also known as the Chilcotin Highway, named after the original stewards of this area, the Chilcotin people, and officially named the Alexander MacKenzie Highway. This is one of the two main east-west routes in the central interior British Columbia. We take a detour off the highway to stop in Dog Creek.
Dog Creek is a little ways away from Williams Lake. It's 85 kilometers away from the city proper of Williams Lake. It's a First Nations reserve, and it's usually referenced more as a small community, but also a bit of a crossroads. So people would use the community of Dog Creek as a jumping off point to get into the Chilcotin areas like Gang Ranch or Empire Valley Ranch.
Surrounded by a dramatic blend of plateaus, valleys, and fertile fields, this land has space for farming and ranching. To most people, the term farm and ranch are used interchangeably. However, a farm and a ranch are quite a bit different. If you're a fan of the hit show Yellowstone, you'll understand what a ranch is, maybe without as much drama or Kevin Costner. By definition, Dog Creek is an unincorporated ranching settlement located on the Fraser River in the Caribou region of British Columbia and across from Gang Ranch on the west side of the river. The two are connected by an old suspension bridge that's still in use today. Gang Ranch is one of the largest cattle ranches in Canada, just under 30,000 acres of private land and an additional 1 million acres of leased crown land for grazing. This is cowboy country. American brothers Jerome and Thaddeus Harper had been ranching and gold mining in California when they found cattle prices too high. They heard of the gold rush in BC and how thousands of miners were migrating there. The Harper brothers began to drive cattle north to British Columbia in hopes of cashing in on the higher market. They quickly became the largest landowners in BC, owning large portions of ranch land all through the interior. One of their most well-known ranches, the Gang Ranch, started in 1863. After a severe winter in 1887, in an unsuccessful attempt to avoid personal bankruptcy, the Gang Ranch was sold to the Western Canadian Ranching Company. Access to the Gang Ranch is over a single-lane steel suspension bridge that spans the Fraser River and is maintained by the provincial government. The ranch has changed hands several times over the years, once sold to a U.S. billionaire in 2004 for approximately $93 million. That billionaire, Stanley Kronk, is the owner of the LA Rams, the NBA's Denver Nuggets, and NHL's Colorado Avalanche. Most recently, Gang Ranch was purchased by the Douglas Lake Cattle Ranch in 2022 for an undisclosed sum. Over 130 years of cowboy history exists on this detour, and you can only experience it by car.
By Car is a presentation of Caribou Auto Group. We encourage you to get off the beaten path, explore the wonders of your local BC community, and connect with folks who live there. Our 5 dealerships are here to make sure your vehicle is up to the challenge. Visit CaribouAutoGroup.com to contact one of our GM, Ford, or Toyota dealers. Thanks for listening.